Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our Eldercare Academy. On the life side, super excited to have GTL with us today, Mr. Greg. He's been doing this for a very long time, so he knows a lot about all these products. He's been with GTL, I think he said 24 years, just a second we were talking. So he definitely knows the ins and out of the product and kind of how it's grown and where it's going and where it's at right now. So very excited to have him on and kind of talk about that information today. Of course, if you don't have GTLs, it's a great time to talk about it. We would love to have, send some information out to you, talk about the product a little bit more if that's what you need. But contact us. We would love to get you appointed with them. Without further ado, we'll jump right into it, and I'll hand it over to Greg, and you guys enjoy.
Hey, thanks, Brent. And yeah, everybody, really appreciate you guys hanging out with me this morning. Going to chat about two different GTL products. And yeah, we'll get into it. We'll have a good time. So sit back, relax. Hopefully got your coffee topped off, and here we go. So the first one we're going to chat about is a Heritage, which is a graded final expense plan. However, I thought we should probably talk just a little bit about GTL in case your client says, hey, who's GTL? Haven't heard of them. We have been around for quite a long time, since 1936. We work out of our main office here in Glenview, Illinois, and that includes everybody, every department here, from customer service, claims, underwriting, sales, actuarial, compliance. Everybody works out of here, and it's kind of a fun thing. We have a nice 3-story building, which you can kind of see in the background. And it's nice. If there's ever any type of question that I cannot answer myself or any type of issue, I can be in my main contact's office here at GTL in seconds. And it's just a great, helpful way for us to get things done. And I want to tell you, rest assured that we do have a little pond or lake in front of our building, because you're really not an insurance carrier unless you do have a little pond or lake in front. So it's not in the picture, but it is there. And so that's how you know when you drive by these places, you see if there's a lake, like, must be an insurance carrier.
Hey,
what
is
else
it
do you know?
stocked?
I don't think it's stocked, but we have seen some people over my 24 years here all of a sudden fishing out there. But I don't know for sure. But I don't think so. Some other things that I think are great to know about GTL, and you're not going to see this on the screen, but we're actually a mutual insurance company, but we're kind of family run. So the person that started the company back in 1936, his name was Richard Holson. And let's just kind of forget about him, because when you start your own company, you usually are the top dog, the CEO, whatever you want to call it, the chairman of the board. However, what I think is interesting for agents to know is our second generation and our third generation, who is our current chairman of the board, and our fourth generation, Rush, who's just working his way into GTL. All of those generations of Holsons had to be on the road for 5 to 7 years selling some other insurance carrier's product, door to door, cold calling, learning what it's like to live on 100% commissions. And they did that before they were able to come to GTL and then work their way up to chairman or president. So right from the top down, and that kind of includes all the sales guys here too, like myself. So right from the top down, we really understand how important it is for us to process your business quickly, get that stuff issued, get commissions paid on time, pay claims quickly, in order to keep everybody happy. So when you do call customer service or our sales support crew, you're generally going to have a really great experience. And it's really just, again, top down. We understand how important it is to do things right for you and our policyholders. So I think those are a couple things that are fun to know about GTL. AM Best rating, A, excellent. We've been super solid financially for many, many, many years. Getting into a little bit about processing business, the product we're talking about today, actually both of them are e-application only. So our final expense and our term plan only can do them through GTL's e-app platform. And we also have a website platform that you can use when you want to use them. I like to delineate it really simply. If you're sitting with the client face to face, I like to have GTL e-app downloaded onto your tablet or smartphone. That way you can open it up, quickly log in, and then do a quote and actually do the e-application. And when it's time for them to sign on the dotted line, they can sign your smartphone or tablet screen, and that's how you gather their signature and you're all done. Now, if you're not with them in person, you can go to GTL's website, gtlic.com, and log in using the same exact login and password you use for the e-app platform on your tablet or smartphone. And then you can do the electronic application that way. And when it's time for them to sign on the dotted line with our final expense plan, the Heritage Plan, they can either do a one-time PIN or verification call. The one-time PIN is really the way to go. I think you probably are mostly familiar with this. You're going to put their mobile phone number into the e-application and click next, and it's going to instantly shoot them a text. They get the text. It's got a 5-digit code. They tell it to you. You put it in the e-app, and that is our authorization, and it covers all their signatures for both policy and the ability to draft their bank account for the premium. So the one-time PIN, that is the way to go if they have a cell phone. And if they don't, you can still do the verification call, which is basically a 2-minute, conference them into it. They answer a few questions to verify their identity, and then they're good to go. So we kind of got you covered either way, either with in-person and not in-person sales. So, but I would say anytime you get the chance to use the one-time PIN, that's the way to go. We probably know a lot about final expense. It's basically a final expense plan is sold to a person to help cover their burial costs. And, we're looking at some numbers here that are a little bit dated. 2021, the average funeral is about $7,800. Today, I think we're probably in about the $10,000 range. And if you're doing a little bit more in terms of, you got to do the burial plot and the headstone and maybe a luncheon or stuff like that, you're looking at a little bit more money. So I like to just throw this out there just to give a little bit of a baseline. What we see at GTL, we see a lot of $10,000 final expense applications. A little bit about the plans, and then we'll kind of get into the details of it. I want to give you a little bit of a target market. First off, it's called the Heritage Life Plan, and it's a graded life plan. So where does that sit in terms of who your target clients are? Well, if your client is very healthy, not taking a lot of meds, no really large health issues, then a level final expense plan is probably where you'd like to go. The rates will be the least expensive of your final expense plan types. Now, the second type of plan is a graded plan, and that's where the Heritage Plan sits today. And a graded plan is basically the same type of coverage and the same type of coverage amounts. However, if the person passes away in the first year or two, they don't get the full benefits, and that's why it's called graded. And we'll get into how this one works. The third type of final expense plan is what we call a guarantee issue final expense plan. And that one is basically no matter what your health conditions are, you can get it. So as you can imagine, when you're healthy and you're having to answer questions and you can get the level plan, that's going to have the best rates. And then with the graded plan that we're chatting about today, that one you're going to answer a few questions, but the coverage doesn't fully kick in for a couple of years. Those rates are a little higher. Then when we get into guarantee issue, where you can get it no matter what your health conditions are, you can imagine those rates are going to be the highest of all types of final expense plans because, insurance companies don't know what they're getting from that policyholder health-wise. So just give you a little bit of an idea where this product sits. So right in the middle between the level and the guarantee issue. The nice thing about this plan is first, when you buy it, your premiums stay the same as you get older. So the rates do not increase. Also, once you have your policy, we cannot change it in any way. We can't lower your benefits. We're not raising your prices. In terms of where this one sits, underwriting-wise, well, you've got 6 application questions. So it's not guarantee issue. It's right in between. So think about this one. It's pretty easy to get, and I'm going to show you the questions in a little bit. Now, at GTL, when we come out with a product, we always like to have a bell or whistle or two of some things that are not offered on most other plans in that space. So with our final expense plan, the Heritage Plan, we have some concierge services worked in there too that I'm going to describe for you. So do we have a final expense plan? Yes, it's graded. And do we have some benefits that some others don't? Yes, we've got some funeral concierge services, which are pretty valuable. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. First, what we need to know is who can get it, who can apply for it. So ages 40 through 90 are the issue age range for the Heritage Plan. And we kind of break it down a little bit from there. So if you're coming in ages 40 to 85, you can get as low as a $2,500 base amount and go as high as $20,000. If you're coming in a little later in life, ages 86 to 90, you can still go as low as $2,500. You can max out though at $10,000. So the graded plan, again, graded plan basically says you're not getting all your coverage right away. With this one, if you get the Heritage Plan, doesn't matter what age range you come in at, if you pass away during the first year your policy is in force, well, your beneficiary is going to get the premiums you sent GTL plus 5% interest. If you pass away in the second year, the beneficiary gets 50% of the face amount. Now, when your policy hits its second year and 1 day, then you're in year 3, which is 100% of the face amount. So the graded really only lasts for 2 years. After 2 years, you've got your full face amount. If the policyholder passes away, the beneficiary gets that full face amount. And just in life, you know, there's always seems to be an exception to the rule. And with this one, there is. This one does have an accidental death benefit built into it. So if you do pass away due to an accident, the temporary accidental death benefit kicks in, and you actually will have your full benefits available for the beneficiary right away. So that's basically how this plan works, and you kind of see with the graded death benefit how it works. The underwriting is pretty simple. It's accept, reject. If you try to do any application on this plan and you answer yes to any of the application questions, it will instantly tell you, you know what, you don't need to go any further. The client will not be able to obtain the coverage. So 6 questions. I'll share those questions with you in just a few minutes. There's really no height and weight guidelines. If you do happen to do an e-app and it asks you for the height and weight of the person, go ahead and put that in, but it's not going to have any type of, it's not going to have any kind of negative result on the person applying. It's just something actuarially will just, you know, gather data on that. So you don't see there's anything else going on here. No additional underwriting, no MIB, no RX check, no phone interview. With regard to paying, sure, you can set this up to draft any day of the month you like. You have a choice to draft it, you know, right after the client's getting their Social Security payment, whatever week of the month that is. And if you ever do have a question on the application questions, like, well, I don't know which way to go on this one with my client, just call GTL sales support and you can be on the line with an underwriter in probably 30 seconds. I always like to give the advice, read the application questions black and white, just like they are. Don't read into them. If you can read that question and answer it no exactly as it is asked, go ahead and answer it no and go from there. In case you tuned in just a couple minutes late, this product is e-application only, so you can do it on your tablet, smartphone, or through GTL's website. All right, so I promised you I'd show you the questions. So these are the 6 application questions that we run into. And why don't I just shut my mouth for about 30 seconds and give you a second to go ahead and read them. Okay, so again, during the application process, you see these questions come up. If you answer them all no, the client's good to go. If you answer any of them yes, the e-app platform will tell you that they're not going to be able to attain coverage, so there's no need to go ahead and complete the application. So one of the bells and whistles we have on this product that's kind of nice is each policy is built in with some concierge services, which is provided by a different company called Sequoia. So basically what happens is when the policyholder dies, the person who's going to be planning their funeral reaches out to Sequoia. That should actually be their first call. And Sequoia is going to be able to help with a lot of different things. Not only can they help offer some discounted pricing on some of the things that you'll be looking at and purchasing when you are planning a funeral. Nice thing is they're available 24/7, and they're there to help the person planning the funeral get through the rough time and help them plan things. And in the rare event where actually the person may have died out of the country, Sequoia can actually help with, getting the policyholder's body back to the United States. So this is a really nice benefit that's built into the plan. And you can see that first bullet point on the left side, and you can add up to 10 family members to this. So, really nice benefits. So with regard to this plan, first thing I would do today, if you're interested in it, is I would take your iPhone, iPad, or your Android phone or tablet, go to the Apple App Store or go to Google Play and download GTL eApp. So the name of the app is GTL space E-app. Download it. And once you have your GTL agent code, you need that. Then when you open up that GTL app, first thing it's going to ask you is what's your GTL agent code? And then you'll put that in. It'll ask you a couple security questions, maybe something like your birth date or last four of your social. And then once you get past that, then you can create your own username and login password. So after that, that's pretty simple. Once you have that done, you open up the app, you put in your login and password, and you're good to go as far as quoting. Now, since you do need to have a GTL agent code first, you're not going to be able to use the eApp or quote until you do have that. And then again, if you're doing a virtual appointment, you just go to GTL's website and click on agent login, and you'll be able to use the same exact login and password you set up for your tablet or smartphone to go ahead and log in and do the app that way. In case you're wondering what GTL's website is, it's gtlic.com. You can see it at the bottom right of the screen here. That is the website for both agents and policyholders. We got a lot of fun stuff on there for policyholders too. They can click on customer, and they can set up their own username and password. They can look up their policy, look up all their coverages. They can get a claim form if needed. They can, if something happens where maybe they change bank accounts and forgot to tell GTL and their premium draft didn't go through, they can go in there and pay it. So a lot of different things that they can do right from the website. And you as the agent, same thing. You're going to click on agent login, log in, and you can do everything from do e-apps to order marketing materials, watch videos, watch webinars on the products and how to sell them, and even watch an e-app demo, broken up so you can see exactly how easy it is to use the e-app platform. So the Heritage Plan, now might be a good time since we're switching products. If there's any questions specific to that plan, we could tackle those now, or we can, wait till the end of the demo and do both products together. But if there are any questions outstanding, we could take a peek at those now.
No questions.
Good. It's a super simple product, and that's the way, I think it's a fun plan. I like the idea that there's some underwriting on it, but that keeps the rates down compared to guarantee issue.
Absolutely.
Well, so the second plan we have, now this is a totally different animal. When we talk about term insurance, please don't think, oh, I know all about term insurance and here we go. This one's quite a different animal. Let me kind of give you an idea of what turbo term is about. Turbo kind of implies fast, and what we tried to do is develop a term plan where generally an agent is selling the plan and wants the best rates for the client, but that means that they have to go do the medical lab. So they got a guy coming to their house, going to take some blood, going to want a urine sample, going to take all their vitals and all that stuff. And that's the way that they get the best rates. So what we've done here with the turbo term is we still have the best rates, but we don't require any type of that medical exam. So this is not a non-med term where clients expect to pay more because they don't want to go through the medical exam. And so this one's different. And how are we doing that? Well, we're actually doing it through artificial intelligence. We have spent about 2 years developing a artificial intelligence underwriting system that goes on in the background. So what we have at the end of the day is the best, lowest term rates without the client having to go through a medical exam. So let's take a quick look at turbo term. We've talked about term insurance before. I'm sure if you haven't talked about it with me, you've talked about it with other folks, other carrier reps. We know what's going on here. This is the insurance that most people buy when they're in their younger years, where if something happens to them, they got a family, kids, college educations need to be paid for. So do their mortgages and car payments. This is a chunk of money that if something happens to the main insured, that's going to come to the family to help take care of those expenses. Here's the big difference. So basically what we've got is back in the pre-turbo term days, you're looking for the best, cheapest insurance. I mean, think about what's going on in your life at that time. You're probably just married, maybe you just had a couple kids, and your spouse is saying, hey, something happens to you or us, you need to have some money coming in to take care of that loss of income. So generally the person reaches out to an insurance person or goes online and they, wow, these are some incredible rates. And then as they start applying, they realize they have to have a medical exam, a person coming to the house, taking their blood, taking a urine sample, wait a couple weeks. And if everything turns out great, they get those great rates. But if it's not great, then they may get some higher rates or they may not get the product at all. That's kind of the norm. What we have with turbo term is we're going to do the application, the e-app for the client. They're going to answer about 8 questions. And then in the background, there's some artificial intelligence underwriting going on. So once they're done answering the questions, we'll actually have not only an initial quote, but a final quote for them. So they don't have to do that medical exam. So you can imagine as an agent, you're writing this business and all of a sudden it's issued, as opposed to you're writing it. Now you're waiting for the exam to take place, which could be a week to a month before they get that appointment. Then they get it done. Then they have to wait for the exam test results and all that stuff. So that's really what we're doing here. So we're trying to get rid of all the time lag that takes place between doing the application and getting the exam done and the labs done and then seeing what we have for results. A little bit about the plan, what we expect and what you can expect. Well, we've got a situation where we're running about 70% of the applications sent in on turbo term are issued instantly. And you got another percentage, much lower, that is going to underwriting to take a closer look. And then you have some that are just outright declines. So when you work with this plan, obviously the healthier the people are, the better. Something that you'll definitely run into, it would have been the same result whether or not you did turbo term or if you did the one where they had to go through the labs and the medical exam. We know some clients don't tell their agent everything that's going on in their life, health-wise or otherwise. So every once in a while, you'll find out quickly that the person may have answered the application questions one way, but the health story we're seeing on the back end through our AI research is telling a different story. So getting into the product itself, first thing we need to know is where can you sell it? Well, you can see basically everywhere. All the red states, good to go. Colorado's not, California's not. So, and New York's not. And the only reason New York is not is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this or not, but if you want to have an insurance product in New York, you actually have to have your company domiciled in New York, have people there building the whole thing, and GTL does not do that. So New York is the only state that we do not try to get our products approved in. The product particulars itself, we're getting into those now. No medical exam, as I mentioned. The rates are super affordable. Now, agents, we've had this product for a little over a year. Agents have told me your rates are just as good, if not better, than the cheap term plans out there. And the benefits, you can go, as low as 100,000, as high as $1 million. I like to break those down a little bit further. Issue age range, 20 to 70. And it's going to be based upon your nearest birthday. So when you run a quote, if you're less than 6 months away from your next birthday, it's going to quote on your next coming birthday age. Just like a regular term, though, 10-year, 15, 20, 25, and 30-year term, possibilities for you. And again, 100,000 up to $1 million in coverage. Now, let's break it down a little bit more. Not everybody can apply for $1 million worth of coverage. So you can see if you are in ages 20 to 50, you certainly can apply for whatever term you like and up to $1 million in coverage. Get a little bit older, 51 to 55, only certain plans can you apply up to $1 million. And I'm sure by now, as you're going down the list here, you're seeing, okay, well, if I'm applying here 66 to age 70, the most I can get is a 10-year term, and the most coverage I can get is $500,000. Something definitely to point out, look at that bottom black banner. This one, whichever one you buy, does have an accelerated benefit for terminal illness. So, you can accelerate 90% of their face amount if they're diagnosed with a terminal illness and supposed to have less than 12 months to live. So this one does have that accelerated benefit built into it, whichever term plan you do select. There's a couple riders. There's an accidental death rider. Basically, it's going to double the death benefit. However, good to know the most you can do for that is up to $250,000. So you can't do $1 million and then another $1 million. Waiver of premium, you can add this. If the person becomes totally disabled for 6 months, then this is just going to keep paying the premium for them. And there's a child rider that you can add for up to $10,000 per kid. Kid has to be between the ages of 15 days and 18 years at the time of application, and that coverage for the child's going to, run out when they hit age 25. So here we go into underwriting. So just like most term plans, if you're really healthy, you're going to get the best rate class. If you're sort of healthy, you get the middle one. And if you're not as healthy but still okay to issue the coverage, you're going to get, as we call, rated up. So we've got preferred, standard, and standard express. Something I definitely want to point out to you while we're taking a peek at this on the screen, you can see on preferred standard and standard express, you've got non-tobacco and tobacco rates. So you do have smoker and non-smoker rates. And if your client has not smoked, let's say they get a policy with smoker rates and they've stopped smoking for 2 years, and we get a letter from their doctor saying, hey, yeah, they haven't smoked for 2 years, we can adjust those rates to non-smoker rates. As we start getting into the underwriting, here's the stuff that's really good to know. So what's going to happen? You're going to start that application process, and they will have a minimum of 8 questions to answer. Now, it could be more. It could be up to, let's say, 15. But it really depends upon how they answer the questions. Now, I'll play a video for you in a little bit that'll kind of walk you through the EAP process. But to give you a good example, let's say there's a question on there that says, have you been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Well, if you answer that no, you're going to move on to the next question. If you answer that one yes, it's going to add some additional questions. Like it's probably going to ask you, when's the last time you had your blood pressure taken? Maybe another question, are you currently taking high blood pressure meds? That kind of thing, and then ask what the drug is. So the underwriting that you'll be doing with the client, the application questions, it'll be a minimum of 8, but it could be more depending upon how they answer those questions. Now, something else that's going on behind the scenes is our AI underwriting. So while you're doing the application questions with the client, here's what's going on in the background. We're pulling an MIB, we're pulling an RX check, we're looking at a credit history, we're looking at things like that, medical data. So as they answer the questions, we're pulling information in the background. And you don't really see any of this happening. It's just happening in the background. So you get an initial quote, you're asking the questions, we're doing our AI underwriting. while you're asking those questions. And then at the end of that, you get an offer saying, okay, it's exactly like the quote you gave earlier, or maybe it's higher based on what we have, or possibly it goes to underwriting, possibly a decline. And again, this is just all to alleviate them having to go through any of the medical, you know, the blood test, the urine test, the vitals, so you don't have to do that. Wanted to show you some rates to give you an idea. This is basically looking at a plan for 100,000, 250, 500, a million. These are monthly rates. Male on the left columns, female, or male on the left, female on the right, and then the next one goes down. And you can kind of see standard, preferred. So as we look at these, you're going to find, I think, very cheap term rates. So let's just say you don't want to have to go through the process of going to GTL's website, logging into the TurboTerm underwriting site just to do a quote for the client. You can go to www.turboterm.com, and there you can just run a quote. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to log in and do all this stuff, put in the person's you know, address or anything like that. If you just want to do a quick quote just to see how it compares to some other term coverage you sell, just go to turboterm.com. Now, there's one thing to know, and you're going to see this in the video that I'm going to share with you in a little bit. If you're already selling GTL's products, you go to GTL's website, you click on Agent Login, and then you log in. Well, now you're logged into GTL's website, and you can quote all these other products and do EAPs on other products. This product, the TurboTerm, has its own special underwriting portal. So you're going to log into GTL's website like normal, and if you want to go quote TurboTerm, you're going to click on the TurboTerm banner there, and you're going to log in again for a second time. Here's the good news. You can use your same exact login and password for the TurboTerm portal as you would for GTL's regular portal. So just know if you're selling TurboTerm, you're going to log in twice using the same exact information. We're definitely going to show you a video here quickly on how the app works. But once you get logged in, you're basically going with Start Interview, selecting TurboTerm, and we'll start doing that. Here's the video. Okay, so a couple things there to point out. You can see where it's kind of set on the screen there, hold on a second while our AI starts heating up. That's basically when it's going out and getting all that other data. Something else there that I definitely want to point out at the end there, when all of a sudden you saw what looked like an email saying, thanks for applying, your coverage is approved. With our eApp platform, whatever product it is, once the product's approved, both you and your client will get an email saying, thank you for applying, your coverage is approved. And also attached to that email, importantly, will be any leave behind documents, outlines of coverage, everything that needed to be delivered to the client. So we take care of that for you with any product that you're selling on any of our eApp platforms. So yeah, I know no one here today can type as fast as that video, but I think it kind of gives a pretty good idea of how this thing works without, sitting watching me type for 20 minutes doing an app or something like that. So hopefully that video helps out a little bit. When it comes to marketing materials, we have generally what we have with most of our products. We have a client brochure, we have a postcard mailer, and also the underwriting guide. With regard to the postcard mailer, that is actually just an electronic file. So if you're interested in that, we can send you that electronic file, and that's something that you could take to a printer. They can print it out for you, and possibly, maybe you give them a flash drive with your client listing, names and addresses on it, and they can merge those together and get those ready to go for you. A lot of different ways to get the marketing materials. My favorite one is just call sales support at 800-323-6907. Just tell them what you need, where to mail it, and we'll mail it right to your front doorstep. You could also email sales support at agency@gtlic.com. And if you're really kind of, I don't want to email, I don't want to call, I just want to go to GTL's website and place the marketing supply order myself, you can do that. You just go into GTL's website, logging in, and then you'll be clicking on what's named as GT Link. And from there, you can just select the marketing materials that you want, how many you want, drop them into your cart, just like you would using any vendor or Amazon's website. Put the stuff you want in your cart, click checkout. It's going to verify your mailing address, and you're good to go. So you can do it yourself. You can call sales support, or you can email sales support. Really simple. I just want to point out again, in case you missed it earlier, if you just want to quote this, you don't want to get into a whole who the person is and address, all that, just go to turboterm.com and you'll be able to quote this plan. And I highly recommend that, because if you're already selling some other term plans, first you want to know if it's really going to be affordable for the client. And, so it's great to just quote it there first. So we tackled a few products today, both totally different. Really like the final expense plan that's graded. It's been super successful for GTL. We've had the product for about 6 years now. Haven't really had to change much with it. So that's been super successful. And the Turbo Term plan, been around about a year and a half. I can tell you we have tweaked the underwriting. We just constantly are tweaking the AI system to make it better and better and better. I definitely would think about using it for your clients that don't want to go through labs, and you'll get an instant decision. Now, if they do have some really serious health conditions, you might not want to do this. Just remember, anytime you're applying for coverage and you get declined, that's kind of like an X on their MIB, if you will. So make sure when you're applying for this, hopefully they seem like they're healthy, don't have any terrible conditions that are going to put a decline and a mark on their MIB, which would probably happen either way, even if they went through meds and all that stuff. But just trying to quantify that for you.
Absolutely.
Same numbers here for sales support. One last thing I'll tell you is our sales support crew, I'll say about 80% of them have been with GTL over 25 years. So they know the company, they know the products, they know the eApp, they know everything basically that, shy of underwriting in terms of, they're not underwriters, but they're amazing. So give them a call if you have a question, even if it's just something about the e-app platform, mailing supplies, something like that. I also like to put my email address on there, Greg Esposito, and it's gspo@gtlic.com. If you have time today, pop it in your phone. I know that, as sales folks, we don't just work 9 to 5. And GTL is open from 7 in the morning till 5 at night. And then on Fridays, total slackers from 8 in the morning till noon. And then we shut it down. But my email is always working. So I always offer to have you email me with any, product questions. If you get stumped or something like that, please feel free to email me 24/7. I don't care if it's during, after business hours, on the weekends. If you're with a client, you get stumped, don't hesitate to email me. Always happy to help you. So if we've got some questions, we can tackle those, or we are good to go.
Oh man, I appreciate it, Greg. Very thorough. Definitely what we need. And again, no questions, so that means you did a really good job, and that's always good. Of course, if I have any questions or anything like that, I'll get with you if I can't answer them. But no, everything looks good. Appreciate all the information, and we definitely, always thank you guys for coming out.